Welcome everybody to the Conway Joint Select Board meeting with the Finance Committee. It's Monday, March 3rd, 6 p.m. Call meeting to order. I'll go ahead and just do the first item on the agenda. Minutes, vote to approve minutes of February 24th. Looked them over, saw two different versions. They both looked great. So I'll make a motion to vote for those minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No warrants. No public comments. No unfinished business. We'll wait for you for this, or did you already get it back up?
Get what back up?
Your Outlook?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I did, yep.
I'll just go real quick. Meetings attended by select board members.
None from last Monday.
I had a meeting with the audit people that are looking at Frontier today, and asked a lot of questions about, you know, our relationship with school administration and town administrator and us and budgeting process and all that kind of stuff. So we answered all those questions and put in a lot of plugs for that funding system is really bad for rural schools.
Okay. I had a capital improvement committee meeting, which we'll talk about today, and also a meeting Veronique and I had about the options for senior housing in Conway. We're still looking into. We are going to move down to, excuse me, new business, the discussion on right to farm signs and a vote to proceed. So thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Did you
Thank
make those signs?
No, I didn't. An artist in Conway did though, Amy Anderson.
Amy Anderson, all right. So I don't know if you all had a chance to look over the signs. I had my particular favorite, and my wife had her particular favorite. So I liked this one, but she made a good point by saying that looks like it's only for one season. The very last one was her favorite.
Only for one season?
Was it slide number 3?
I know what it looks like when you open it. It's the one. That's it.
That's actually Amy's favorite. Not that one.
Mhm.
There's another version that has Conway done, scrolled in by hand. That's her favorite because that's her father's barn.
Oh, okay.
Langerman, she's a Langerman.
I liked that one because it was, the other one's great, but it's a little cursive, so it's a little harder to read.
Well, the lower portion would be computer generated, but the upper portion of Conway,
Right.
I'm very, very attached to Conway handwritten.
The other one has Conway handwritten too.
They actually all did, there were versions of all of them.
Right.
But I thought that maybe I would start first with why we choose.
Sure, of course.
And then I'll let you know what I've done so far and what I'm hoping to get from you guys, and you also guide me. It's been, golly, I think it was in 2018, I think it was, that the Agricultural Commission Committee sort of died slowly, collapsed. There were 6 of us originally in that committee, and the whole goal was to get the bylaws, the right to farm bylaws. The state bylaws were, I got involved because the state bylaws left hackles on my back, and I wanted to make some alterations that felt comfortable to me. And Jason Silverman became my chair, and there was some conflict. There were 6 members originally. There was some conflict, and we ended up with 3 members, and that was Mary Parker, Jason, and myself. The original bylaws did not have anything about pleasure horses. They didn't even consider them farm animals, so we put that in because, at least during my generation, that was a big part of, when I was younger, of coming, the reason for coming to Conway and having really nice places to trail ride. The other one, and what really had bothered me, was that the state bylaws say that somebody can come in, a farm can come in and take anybody's water. No, don't do that. That didn't feel good. So we've modified the bylaws for Conway. We were told by professionals that if we didn't do something, and we went to court, we would have absolutely no teeth, nothing at all to be able to fight, that we needed to put what we wanted on paper in the bylaws so that at least we could challenge them, get something. So that's what we ended up doing. So we accomplished what we had originally wanted to do when we got the bylaws passed. Then it was time to get the signs. And I was working pretty much about the signs myself. I'd seen some of Amy's work and I asked her if she'd like to do that. She's totally into it. Amy grew up in town, so she's very fond of Conway. And then Jason was no longer able to chair, and it was just Mary and me, because Mary tried and couldn't get any farmers, couldn't get anybody interested enough to do it. So it just sort of faded away. And there were two conflicts that I was dealing with. I had already gone to Pittsfield, I had talked to the state, I had done a whole lot of research, but the two problems were, one, we wanted to get some animals into the signs, and so we needed to work with Amy on that. And the second one was that our road boss wanted the signs to be 12 by 18, which is the same size as if you're coming in from Ashfield, there's a Triad, is that how it's pronounced?
Oh, trying to, yeah.
The Triad sign, and it's really tiny, and for right to farm, we need a bigger sign. You have to be able to read it when you're driving by. So that moves into, I'm just going to move right into sign size, and then I'll move into estimates. Okay? So today, so the sign size is the 12 by 18 that Ron had wanted, and that I needed to change. It sort of fell apart when I needed to go talk to Ron and say, this isn't going to work. And so the next sign is a 24 by 18, and I drove around today and climbed up on the snow and measured some of the signs around here. 20 by 14 is the bikeway sign that's right near the post office. So when you drive by, you can go look at it and try to figure out how's that. And the next size is a 24 by 30, and that is the trailway sign, and there's one that's hanging upside down right near the entrance to the school. So you can drive by and get a sense of what's easy to read and what you want. I was thinking that we would have 6 signs, and what that is one in Whately coming in, one on Main Poland Road, maybe around Osgood's coming in from the Williamsburg side, one on the Shelburne Falls Road, one on the, I don't know what that road's called, near the bridge, the metal bridge.
Bardwell's Ferry.
Bardwell's Ferry.
Bardwell's Ferry.
And then 2 on either side of
116.
116.
Yeah.
I was thinking that for the highway, for the town roads, we could do an 18, if I say, yeah, 24 by 18. That's the next size up. I think we can manage that. I think Ron may want to talk about it some, but at any rate, that's my thought. I'm thinking for 116, it could be either of the 2 larger sizes. So it really depends on what people want and the sign. Another thing is that it doesn't have to be one sign.
I was gonna say, can't we do a different
You can
version?
we could do 6 different signs if you wanted, and I'll explain that with the printers. So anyway, that's where I was with that. Now, in the last couple of weeks, I contacted 3 printers, sign makers, and the first one I called was Hale Signs. They've got a big business. They're in Gill, And I've got an estimate from them, I've got an estimate of all three, so I can give this to you guys and you can go over it and figure out what you want. I know what I want, and I'll let you know. So I did Hale, I did contacted the sign in that's in Hadley. What's that store called? Sunrays Printing.
Oh, yeah.
And I've got that, that's a, you drive by it all the time if you're down in Hadley,
Yep.
so that's a familiar one. They did make some errors in the estimate, but I don't think that matters. And then the third one is Godfrey Signs, which is in Cummington, and they've already done signs in town. They did the, across the street, the plumbing sign for Lynette. They did the sign in front of the new Congregational Church. They did the little sign that says no climbing on the stone wall. So anyway, there's been a relationship in Conway with Godfrey. Okay, so I'll tell you why. I want Godfrey, okay? They're the middle price. If you go on their website, you'll see some beautiful signs that they've made. They're really, the ones here in Conway we've looked at are somewhat simple, but they've got really beautiful signs. And you can have, with Godfrey and not with the other ones, you can have as many designs as you want, and it's all the same price. Whereas with Hale, if you get more designs, you cost more money for them. The other thing with Godfrey, which impressed me very much, was that he said he would like to talk to the artist. And I thought, that is really good, because he has done this, he's very familiar with the effectiveness of the sign when people are driving by and how to make that. So, and I let me know that he was interested in that, and she's totally gung-ho on meeting him if this is your choice. So, I don't know if you want to look at it or if you want me to bother looking at the quote. But anyway, you might want to look at this when I'm not here. Is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome. So that's the signs.
Cool. So, yeah, I guess the question before the board is whether you want to proceed with this project, and if so, we'll need to find some money. And it would probably be the case that we could put an article on for the cost of signs. Town meeting.
I would love to proceed personally.
Me too.
I mean, we're a farm community. It only makes sense.
But we don't have, the highway department's blessing for the larger signs though yet, is that correct? That's still something that.
I spoke with Ron just today, a few hours ago, and I don't think he has a problem with the larger size.
And those would only be on 116, right?
It makes sense to have the larger ones on 116.
Hi, I'm Beth Gershman, former planning board person, so I'm sure you already covered this, but just knowing that there is a bylaw about signage and sizes. Just need to raise that.
We'll have to look into that then.
There's an existing bylaw about the size of signs, off-premise signs. So you want to make sure either it went along with that, or you'd have to get a waiver.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
No, so I assume when the FurCog did their bike signs, they must have gone through that as well. Okay, great.
We'd also have to
Really
know
not
if there's
expensive
not
at all.
an existing unistrut or pole to put the sign on, that's an additional cost.
There are in the estimates, at least in two of the estimates, there is pole cost. The poles, the angle pole with the slots in it are around $80. It depends on the height. There's an 8-foot, a 10-foot, and a 12-foot. Robert Godfrey said that the 12-foot is the general one to get. I know nothing about that.
That's the unistrut, the one with the holes in it, and OSCO sells that. We can even get with them on that. So,
Yeah, good idea.
If Ron doesn't have him, does this town have any to hang
He
out?
might, that's a good point. He might have some.
Yeah.
Great,
Okay.
thanks for all your work
So,
on this.
I'm
Oh,
sorry,
you're
there,
welcome.
it says a vote. That's a vote to just proceed?
Just to get your blessing that this is a
Okay.
project you want us to go forward with.
I will
Yes.
make a motion, this is a project we want to go forward with.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great.
Okay, so, I just want to mention that, one of the things that I need to do, because it's my understanding that as a senior in this, real estate tax work-off,
Mhm.
that there's some interest in how am I spending my hours, because this is part of it, which first of all, I want to thank you. I've never liked that this project ended. I just felt really badly, because Amy, for one, had put so much into it. I would like to tell you that Amy said that she was going to, she said that it's better now to do it now than previously, because there are much better programs, computer programs for doing artwork.
Mhm.
And she said there are a lot of things that she can do that she wasn't able to before. And she was going to spend this weekend taking her signs and segmenting them off, so then she can put things together. The one of the barn that was liked, I suggested, moving the right to farm community away, moving that somewhere, and then there's space to put animals in there.
Mhm.
I also went online and downloaded free farm animals and sent some over to Amy, some photographs, some drawings, and they're really nice. You can really pull out a whole lot of stuff that way.
Okay.
So, between you, me, and Amy, you guys can come up with the ones you're gonna recommend to the board, and then you can bring them back to them and say, these are the ones that.
Yeah, I like
Right.
what we've seen so far.
So the input that you wanted, you said you wanted to make some input, you can tell me right now and I'll get it to her.
No, it's just, I like all the images. The only thing I would try to steer away from is cursive for Conway is great. Right to farm can get a little muddy.
And she decided that years ago because
Yeah.
she tried really hard and she said, that's hard,
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
So we all are on that page.
Great.
Yeah.
All right.
But I do have a question. Okay, so I've driven around a little bit and looked at signs that are available. And by the way, Whately's doing theirs right now too. So I can see the Whately line, we're gonna have, the signs looking at each other.
Mhm.
What was I gonna say? I'm that age. It's like, oh, jeez. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Driving around looking at a lot of other signs.
The sign going into Turner's is 24 by 30. Very easy to read, and so that's one reason why I was thinking 116, the 24 to 30, the larger sign.
Is that on Route 2 going to Turner's or which part?
It's going into Montague right after the bridge,
All right.
right after the Cheapside Bridge. There, and it's, I've also had to go up to Pittsfield and talk, they have a map where I have to figure out where is the best place. I can't do it by myself, I have to do it with them. And I have to pay attention to the mile markers. I have to go back up there and then they approve things and they tell me what they can want, they can do, and so their guidance is really important, their permission also in doing that.
All right, great.
That'd be part of that.
And
Thank
then
you.
we'll look at the bylaws like Beth said. and-
Yes,
make sure
thank
we
you,
have-
Beth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm checking out right now.
all right.
Great.
Thank you so much for all your work on this,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, thank you for approving it and letting it. I think it's gonna be a real, oh, yeah, there is one more thing. The sign going into Turner's starts with welcome to Conway, so the welcome to is smaller,
Mhm.
and, or welcome to Montague.
Oh, Montague, yeah.
Montague, and, so I just was wondering, there's mixed messages about putting welcome to the town or not doing it, so perhaps you can think about that.
Yeah, sure.
And see how-
Simplicity is key.
Okay, so it's, off-premises signs shall not be more than 3 square feet in size, except by special permit.
Oh, there you go. big.
All right.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, thank you again. Appreciate it. I know you have this up, but should we start with the, oh, Beth is here for this too, huh? I'm wondering if we should do the capital request first. You don't mind, do you?
No, I don't mind.
Okay. Going with the streetlights, you're okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, Beth and Sia, she is here too.
Oh, Sia's here. Got it. Okay, so at the top of new business is discussion and vote on streetlights to recommend to RTE. This is to recommend to RTE. This isn't also final. Once we recommend this to RTE, they're gonna do their assessment and get back to us with the form I'm sure you all have seen where it shows the span of each of the streetlights. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna take over Veronique's computers here. Hopefully I don't need my computer. Okay. Oh, you know what? I do need my computer. I'm sorry.
I just want to check, Sia, can you see that? Is it shared with you properly? Yep, okay, great, thank you.
Okay. All right, so right now what we're looking at are all the lights. So what I'm gonna do is get rid of the private. There's nothing we can do with those lights. The ones that are labeled crosswalk, intersection, parking lot, those are the ones that are under general consensus we're talking of keeping and not doing anything with.
Yep.
Consider are all the remaining. The ones that are review are just duplicates of the consider. These are the ones that we had some public comment back on wanting to keep. So I just wanted to highlight those. I also have, when we go into them, you'll see the comments here of the public comments of why they want to keep some of these lights. So, you know, it's however you two want to go about this. I did kind of want to go through some others as well where I thought there are some questions, such as this one. And just as a example, this street, as many of you know, coming from Academy Hill is a very steep street, and it drops off here, and Bond Street is a quick turn.
Yep.
So although we all said, is this light really needed? Probably not. I think we need to talk about some of these a little further. So if
Well,
you...
wasn't there comment on that one too, that people thought it was important?
No, not this particular one.
Oh, okay.
But the person who lives right here is a young mother of two, and I don't think she probably has time to come in and talk about that. So if you wouldn't mind, I was just gonna start with the ones that are highlighted in purple for review,
Sure.
and then we can discuss what we think of some of those comments. Erica, I'm gonna start with this one. So this is at the intersection of Delbar Ave and Ives. This is one where a neighbor on Orchard had asked to keep the light because it's part of her walk, her dog walk. Now, we're sitting here with one of the owners of the property to the light, and we do know these property owners as well who are working on renovating this. I'm pretty sure I know their answer also. I personally don't see what the need in this light is. This is not a very well-traveled road. Ives isn't.
Mm-mm.
There's really only 2 homes up here.
Yeah.
One is a business. Those that live on Ives over here, they come through Del Bar to get to their driveway because they have a garage over here and then a driveway here. So again, if we're looking at the lights needed for safety reasons as far as those driving along, I do not see the need in this light.
Right, and I'd also like to point out that that particular light has been out of commission for a couple of years now. So it's not a light that anyone would have recently become attached to because it's been non-functional. So personally, I am happy with that one to go. But I know that other neighbors on the street feel more strongly about the one in the middle of Delabar, about removing that one. And if I'm thinking about, people taking walks in the neighborhood at night, then I am thinking about the distance between streetlights and the fact that there's one at OESCO that's private, in the parking lot there.
Yes, that right there.
That, I mean, if we had to keep one on Delabar for safety reasons, I think it makes sense to leave the one at the church parking lot. If we had to keep one on Delabar, I think I would prefer the one on the corner of Ives and Delabar as opposed to the one right in the middle, because I think there's.
Because it's not working.
Oh, yeah, it's not working, and I do know that people feel very strongly about the other one in the middle of Delabar, which is also currently not working.
Right, and this one's important, and we weren't gonna touch this one because it's a drop off
Right.
right into the river.
So, yeah, so I mean, I feel like you could lose the one in the middle of Delabar because there's enough coverage all along Delabar. I mean, I think even if we lost the one on Delabar Knives, there would be enough coverage.
So did you want to talk about the one across from the church then?
I don't feel strongly about the one across from the church.
And there's no house up there, right?
There is a house right across, there's
There's a house
below
right
the
here.
church, yeah.
That somebody lives in?
Yes.
So people, I think it's rare, but people do take that turn. That's a very dangerous turn directly, like onto
Yeah.
Delabar from 116.
Yeah.
The problem is this light doesn't light that up.
No.
This light extends about right here.
Okay, so yeah.
Does the church want it for the parking lot?
The parking lot for the church is over here,
Yeah.
and they do have a spotlight, or a floodlight that shines on the parking lot. Okay, so I'm gonna say 56 here. We're gonna still consider decom.
I agree.
Yeah, I would.
Okay, we'll move down to Orchard and Manning. This particular light here, the neighbor who lives over here, we all know Denise, she did mention to me when we first were speaking of these lights that there was an issue with people driving down Orchard and continuing to drive down Orchard, and then they would come into the driveways of the residents that live back here, because it is a sharp turn on Orchard to maintain.
That's true.
There really are no homes affected by this, meaning there is this house here, Kurt, but he's got a lot of tree cover. I don't believe it affects him very much. The need for it, I don't know. I can totally understand that people would bypass and not turn on Orchard. You don't think that a road is just gonna make a 90-degree turn all of a
Right.
sudden? So
Yeah, that's one, that again, I'd like to see RTE's recommendation, because I feel like if we're gonna take into account people going for walks in the evening, then that one, the one in front of your house, I'd say that one, that should go.
you know,
But if you had that one on the corner, and then you had another one at the other end of Orchard Street, with better, or, you know, less harsh illumination, I feel like that could probably provide enough, you know, span of coverage for people walking at night.
Well, that brings us to these two. So this one, the owner, who I have to say is me, and my wife, absolutely hate it. When it was replaced, it shined directly into our house. We would have to get blackout curtains to take care of it. There's absolutely no reason for it. There's no turn, there's nothing there, there's no sharp turn, which brings us to this light here. Again, it's a light where the two neighbors over here who take walks requested to keep the light, but the, why is that not popping up? But the neighbor, the owner of this property wants it gone, and it does shine in their house. So again, it comes down to, you know, not that we have to pick one way or another, but I personally believe, like with Northampton, that the property owner should have the say in whether the light stays or not, if it's not a needed light for safety reasons.
And again, historically, the reason those lights were there in the first place
It's
is
the
because
school.
this was the school bus
Because the
route.
school
Yeah,
right here,
right.
yes.
So, I mean, it's not, that was not the intent, was to light up the neighborhood for people to walk their
I
dogs.
definitely say the property owner has more of a say in
Mhm.
that.
Oh, here it is, I'm sorry. It did pop up, Shirley. So back to 16 here on the sharp turn.
That one kind of makes sense to me, just because that is a super sharp turn, and you're not gonna see it at all in the dark, but I mean,
How
I
about-
don't know the nearest homeowner to it.
Kurt, and who lives right here, and
Yeah.
again, he's got some tree coverage, I don't think it
Yeah.
really affects him.
Is that the dollhouse?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so moving on down to Maple. So I thought this was interesting. We had the property owner here wanted to keep the light, but this light, which I feel is more important, is marked for removal. This is on the triangle, and I call it a triangle because you can see here, there's a quick, I don't know why this was ever built, but there's a quick little road where you can go from Pleasant to Maple. And this is also the intersection of Orchard, Maple, Pleasant, and Schoolhouse Road. So to me, 65 made more sense to keep
I
than
agree.
I agree.
than 37. And I do have to say, I totally understand why some people want these lights, but these street lights aren't to replace what could be a floodlight if you need it for your home or business. So I was actually gonna suggest that we think about keeping 65.
I agree.
And this is at the corner. Is that
Maple, Schoolhouse, and Pleasant.
Yeah, and I put them, I honestly, I went through and I literally put it on the exact location. So anytime you see this, it's on the exact location of the pole.
What is the homeowner's comment about that one?
Not this one,
Oh,
but this
not-
one.
That one, okay.
And they own two properties. On both properties, they wanted to keep the lights in front.
Well, for going that the property owner can get rid of it, the property owner should get to keep it.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
If we're saying the house that's the property owner is most affected by the light gets to decide whether they want it or not, and we have to go with if they want it, they keep it.
Yeah.
It mostly only affects them.
Right. And we have not heard from the other property owners on either side.
Right.
So, let's say 37 keep.
Where's the, what about the people who wrote about Maple and Pleasant? You're not on that one.
I'm not on that one yet, no.
Roy may be zooming in, just so you know,
Okay.
in case you hear them, or don't hear them. And show up in the waiting room.
So we're moving down to Academy and Academy and Maple. This is at the intersection and also is at the beginning of a very long driveway. This is one where there's differing views. One of the nearby neighbors wants to keep the light for safety reasons. It is a T intersection. The closest homeowners of this property here do not want the light. But as you can see, there's another property owner and is a driveway for a property way back here. So this is an interesting one because again, it is at a T intersection.
I didn't even know Academy Hill continued after Maple.
Yep,
So that's a town road?
and that's a good question. I don't know if it is because it only services one house.
Right.
And it was
It's not discontinued town road?
I don't know if this is correct. I'm pretty sure this is a private drive.
Was that house?
Is that
lit up?
Heidi?
Like, well, no, I think Heidi built the house, but it was, I mean, within the past, I don't know, 10 years, I wanna say, so I feel like that's a new driveway, basically.
Oh, we have some chats. Is that Sia?
Could be.
Maybe,
Oh, she's gotta go, okay.
just put another meeting.
It'll be recorded. So again, this is where it gets really tough is because we have differing views. There's not really one property owner who's directly in line with this light. These owners do say it shines in their house, and they do want it removed, but it's not on their, technically on their property. As you can see, it's on this side of the road.
I mean, I haven't walked it. I would be curious if when you're coming down Academy Hill, if it's like an illusion that you don't really see Maple and you look like you're going right into that driveway. I think
So
it's
these
hard to see
right.
intersection.
And these two also did say a good compromise would be if there was a timer on the light, which I do think is a good compromise.
Would a shield work as well?
Yes, the shield would work to shield away from their home, so why not we just say keep for this one?
And then,
Shield or timer?
I mean, I think we should look at timers for almost all of the lights, to be honest.
agree.
yeah, that's a question, when you start talking about sending the information to RTE, I just wanna address that a little bit.
Right. I think that's it from that. Now we're gonna move up.
What was the one by the bridge? There was one off by the covered bridge.
Oh, that one's
Yeah.
staying. This one or this one?
Oh, sorry, what's the purple one there?
That's the bridge.
Oh, okay,
sign.
sorry. Yeah, okay.
Playing chess, checkers.
Okay, so we're moving up Academy. This is Academy and Pleasant. So again, same neighbor wanted to keep this because it is the intersection. She did also state there are 3 driveways within 50 feet. She's correct. There's a
Yeah.
driveway here, there's a driveway here, there's a driveway here. I do know that these owners wanted them gone, but they're not nearby. I think I would mark this probably for the same timing
Right.
and shields.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Or lower wattage,
Right.
that's another question to raise with RTE.
Moving up Academy, this is the other home of the same homeowner who wanted the other light kept. It is on their property. So we'll just, as Elaine stated,
Mhm.
mark that for keep. Moving up Elm. The gentleman who came in, who lives right here, I believe, did state that there is a lot of foot traffic, a lot of kids playing up and down this street.
There are, and there's sort of a rise right there too, that's a little, and there's driveways going off.
He is the closest homeowner.
Yep. And people go too fast.
That's too early.
Moving up further,
So that's by Palmer's house.
Yes,
Oh,
and this
okay.
homeowner said that it is useful as GPS sends people the wrong way a lot of times.
So they want it, it's like right in their house. So,
It says light's useful since GPS sends people here and they get lost.
there you go.
2.
If I lived there, I would want that going, but
Yeah, we can't correct the GPS
Yeah, right.
while we're doing
well,
this.
GPS sends people to my house, Graves Road, which is like, you
Yeah.
know, I would never do that, but
Yeah.
unless I want a scenic drive.
Google Maps could find my house for years, which is so crazy. It's not find it all.
Not at all.
But I mean,
You're like in the city.
my neighbors are always getting my packages, like I just.
Just want to make sure I hit all of them. This, and this. Yes, so that is
What was the
all.
one on Graves?
Oh, that's just right off of the end
Yeah,
of Graves,
yeah,
across from that
Marcia.
place
This
that
one?
recently, I think it recently sold, but of course it's not recently.
No, it didn't recently sold.
Yeah, no, in my mind.
Oh,
it
yeah, yeah.
recently sold.
Yeah, Marcia said she wanted it.
When I talked to her, she said she hated it when she first bought
She
the
did,
house.
yes, that's what she said.
Now she wants it. I don't personally see it as useful in any way. If she wants a light on her driveway, she could easily put a light on her driveway.
Yeah.
That's my thinking.
It's true, but it's also, it bothers her the most, or needs her the
Okay,
most.
well, it's your guys' decision. I'm so
You know,
happy to
so-
say that again.
Which one are we talking about? Graves?
It's just
Graves and
off-
Reed's Bridge.
It's a
Oh,
little
this.
bit off of Reed's Bridge, yeah.
Yeah,
I had that marked as take out.
no, that's Shelburne Falls.
Oh.
Go up Reed's Bridge.
So you're going along
There.
Reed's Bridge,
This?
turn onto Graves.
Oh, yeah, that's Graves, yeah.
Yeah, it's right there.
This is the one that I think CE said please get rid of,
But Marcia lives right there.
and she
In that
said to
house.
keep it.
She wants it.
I thought she said she was okay either way, but that's your,
I think she said she was okay with like buying it or something.
she wanted to make a private light there.
Well, but which she could do.
Yeah, that.
In her
That's,
own
She could
driveway.
put a light on her barn.
Yeah.
there's no
Okay.
reason that light needs to be.
I mean, if you're
I,
going,
I think that was historic, that was a farm.
Yes,
right.
exactly.
Farms had lights.
Yes,
So now I was just gonna
Probably for the
look
milk
at.
trucks to come in the morning.
yes, exactly.
I was just gonna look again at those that we are tagging as consider, and maybe look at some lights that may be trouble lights that we might want to look at reconsidering again. One of those was on Pleasant and Bond. We already said here to keep 65, so that was one I wanted to discuss. This one on Bond, 36 again, is a very steep road. It's very hard to see on either side, and it's a sharp turn onto Bond. I was gonna say to keep that.
I would say if the homeowners don't care, keep it.
We already discussed these. Sorry, I gotta go back here because some of these are the review, so we don't need to look at those. Do I need to accept somebody here?
Yep, just admit Roy,
Where is that?
that blue.
Oh, there you are. There weren't very many others. I just want to make sure I'm touching all of these. Not on 116, not any of these, not any of these. Oh, I think those were the only two. Those were the only two. Aside from Reed's Bridge, but I don't think this is really needed. It's only on one side, why is it not on the other side, right? So what I did want to do is once we do get with RTE, you're probably gonna wanna know this one too. There's still far too many lights along 116. I'm hoping that when we get with them, that they can show the coverage of these lights and show more that we can remove. There's absolutely no reason we need such a tight cluster. And I did show some to remove already that were so close to other lights with no crosswalks that, I already marked those for removal. But there are tight clusters here that just don't make any sense. So if you all are okay with this list, I'll read through again the lights that we are going to keep that were originally marked as decom. 65, 37, 38, 44, 42, 8, 52, and 36. And I'll update this map
Great.
to reflect that, so it'll be easy to see which lights that we want to get rid of and which ones we don't. And we can present this to RTE as well. They can use this map as well.
That would be great.
Yeah.
And there'd be no confusion
Yeah.
over the numbers and where it is.
There we go.
All that stuff.
So do you or do either of you have any other questions, concerns on the lights that have been chosen in this map?
Nope.
No, I just want to make sure that we present our final decision, and that final decision. If a homeowner comes to me and says, absolutely, like, I don't want people to think that that was their last opportunity to give input.
Well, there has to be a date for which
Right.
it's their last opportunity to give input. Which is why I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah, because we have to present this list to RTE like right away, because the grant application is due on the 4th, and we said we'd give them a
Yeah.
month.
I would say if there's any like, we're not sure what to do with this light, I would think you'd want to err on the side of keeping it.
Right.
If there's any wiggling around to
Mhm.
be done, I think that you'd err on the side. Because how
Because we
many?
can always just put in, the
Hopefully upgrade the
better bulbs.
quality and the,
Yeah, and look and ask RTE about like, is there anywhere here that you think would be good with lower wattage?
Mhm.
Or, let's speak about timing, what's possible with timing. I'm unclear on what's possible with timing,
Right.
actually. And then the dimming, the whole dimulator thing that Shelburne is doing,
yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that. I wrote to Jeff Botner the other day and I asked him, he sent me the specs on the dimulator, but I was looking for more reviews, like people who've used it for a long enough time. Because RTE said they were non-committal about it, but they weren't like, how would you describe what they had to say about the dimulator, which is the funniest name in the world?
You can start calling out of that.
Would be the first.
Veronique says it's like a Harry Potter. Isn't that
Yeah,
what
it was like the-
a
yeah,
Harry
yeah.
Potter
Yeah.
villain or
Um,
hero or something. I don't know. What was your sense of that? So I just am a little. So we've been worried about going for the smart, system, and
Because it's so expensive,
because
right?
it's so expensive, but I don't know how expensive it is. We haven't looked into it. I think it does have some appeal.
Yeah.
Because it's more useful from the ground than what the other options would
Right.
be.
Oh, one of the things though that came up was who would be in charge. That's
Yeah.
the
That's true, but it might be one of those set it and forget it kind of things. I don't know. I
But
like
if it's
to
you set
explore.
it, forget it, then you don't need to change it, so you wouldn't need
This is an egg wave.
all that. Huh?
Anyway, that's just another thing to bring up with us,
Yeah,
to talk
definitely.
with RTE about. So, but in general, like how many lights are you feeling pretty solid about? Like, 20?
So I'm just looking at those.
'cause that's awesome.
So if
Fewer
we,
poles.
um,
No, we wouldn't necessarily be able to take them. is what it is.
Oh,
sorry, I'm just updating it. I can tell you
okay,
here
no,
in just a
it's
moment.
not important. It's
Oh,
not,
it
it's
doesn't
not
take any
critical.
time at all. So we are going to keep these.
Yeah, I didn't mean to go off. So many questions. About
So that means
it'd be so much better if I was an electrical engineer.
we are looking at 26.
26 is amazing.
That'd be great.
Amazing. So yeah, so err on the side of the keeping.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd still have 41.
We'd still have a
Yeah.
whole 41, but
Yeah.
you're still
40.
you're talking about 116. I know you keep saying that. You're talking about 116. We're looking at their thoughts on
Yeah, you can
where
have
it could be lower wattages in town,
Right.
where it could be and then the whole shielding
Right.
question.
Yep.
Even if we had 40,
And
then
the
all of
timing
it,
is
that's
critical,
still
I
over
think.
double of Ashfield, which is still wild to me.
I
But
know.
we'll see how it looks, right?
Yeah. Everybody feels like we're different.
All right. Thanks,
Okay.
Thank you. This is awesome work.
It's really
Thank you,
awesome.
Chris.
Oh, yes, thank you.
And Select Board.
Thank you.
And you, everybody, all the tires of ribbons. Should
This,
we leave the ribbons on for Eversource so they don't get confused?
well, it's gonna be confusing because some of the ones with ribbons are gonna stay.
Yeah.
Right, I know, I mean, should we take those off?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think we should take
We
them
could just
off.
go
I think
because
we
it'll
should
just
take
get
them off and then
confusing.
the residents will understand what's
Mhm.
happening.
Yeah, right.
Once the
Right.
final decision is made,
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, then now I am confused, because didn't we need a final decision before we do RTE?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Well, yeah, that's what we just did.
So this is the final
Right,
decision?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
Okay.
then we go to RTE saying.
Right, and they might,
Right.
yeah, that's
They
fine.
might say, you
Yeah.
might want to rethink this.
Right.
Right,
Little
no,
over
no,
here.
that's good, okay, so we can give that to them like ASAP?
Yes.
Yep,
Yeah,
great.
and wait to take anything off until we hear back from them. Right?
All right.
The yellow ribbons.
Yeah.
Oh, I think you can take the yellow ribbons off.
What if they say, okay,
I don't know. It's for discussion purposes.
There's no point in those yellow ribbons now because they don't really mean anything when some of them are
Yeah.
not,
Staying
are
and
staying.
some are
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
All right.
Okay,
Tie
thank
a
you.
yellow ribbon.
Guys, tie a yellow ribbon.
All right, we're gonna move on to,
Thank you,
would you
guys.
care to open up your
Yeah,
committee?
make a motion to call the Finance Committee meeting to order. I make a motion to approve the Finance Committee minutes of February 24th as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Roy? Still with us? Roy?
Roy?
So since Roy, me, and
Yeah,
Laura are
Laura.
here, would you care to open up the Capitol as well?
Sure. Motion to open the capital meeting for today.
Thank you. Okay, so it does say here joint meeting with finance, but we have a quorum for the capital improvement committee here as well, giving a lot of us are in multiple committees. So it's actually a joint with all three. We're gonna go over today the capital request review, highway and fire department. I think the fire department's the easiest one. All it is adding to the pumper truck stabilization fund. We will continue to add $100K to that stabilization fund. We were hoping to find another source. I don't believe we're there yet because we're a rich community. Did you know that we're rich?
Yes, absolutely.
You
Yeah,
see how many
crypto.
streetlights we have? Yeah, so I don't know if I updated finance and capital, but I had been hoping for an earmark, but it turns out it's based on USDA regulations.
Yeah.
And the median household income that we make
Hmm.
puts us out of the running
So there we go again.
for the fire truck,
That's it.
so. So we
So
better
we gotta
still
keep
save.
putting that money away.
Yeah.
Yep.
You
Yes.
folks think too much money here. Shouldn't work.
Guess so.
Yeah. Do you all have any questions on the stabilization fund?
No, fire truck? No.
Yeah, okay. It's the third, this is gonna be our fourth year.
Fourth.
Yes.
So this will be 400,000. By the end of it, the truck, the pumper truck, by the time we need it, it's probably gonna be close to $900,000.
Wow.
So we have 600 in the bank for 900,000, 600 plus interest.
So now the big one, the highway department. So the highway super had requested, sent in a request for 3 items. A loader, a dump truck, a tractor, and an excavator. You know, we started digitizing our effort here, so we know the life expectancy of each unit and the year to replace. We had a meeting, and I'm sorry if I'm usurping this, if you want to.
No, go right ahead. I'll
Okay.
just jump in if I want to add something.
Okay, so we had our meeting and all of us came to a consensus. Everyone is here aside from Bob, but all of us came to a consensus that the highway department has had some great wins as far as new items over the past few years. If we're looking at the look ahead of when the super wants to replace some other items, there's not a lot over the next few years. So we wanted to parse it out. The two highest priority items were the tractor and the excavator. We did just get a new dump truck last year. So although the current dump truck, it does need replaced, I don't think it's as high of a need. And we also have 2 loaders as well. So we were gonna push the dump truck and the loader to subsequent years, 2027, 2028.
Yep.
That would not have the sticker shock, so to speak, of going to town meeting and asking for near $500,000 in capital purchases for the highway department. The tractor is the replacement cost for the tractor is going to be $44,000, and the replacement cost for the large excavator will be $120,000. So the total purchase for the capital expenditures would be $164,000 that we would be asking for, which is considerably less than
Definitely.
$500,000.
True, and will also leave us, I think, a little bit more wiggle room with the free cash on hand to be able to add to more stabilization accounts.
Right.
Yeah.
I apologize, I still need to talk to the super about her decision on this. I'll explain the reasoning behind it, but we feel it's a sound decision and way to move forward.
The other decision that we made is the spreadsheet that Chris is referring to. We're gonna put that up on the town website. It's quite comprehensive. So if the finance committee would like to see the full Vive spreadsheet, we'd be happy to send it to you.
Thanks.
And I'm gonna write an article for the Conway Currents, letting people know that what we're gonna do is put a PDF of like what Chris just talked about, just the vehicle tab, because it's like a 7-tab spreadsheet. It's gonna be a PDF, and then my goal is to update it every year and always have the new one on the town website that anybody can look at anytime that they
That's
they
awesome.
might like.
Thank you.
That's so good.
Yeah.
What is a tractor used for? Is that like
Loading
cutting,
things?
mowing the tractor?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Mowing.
Yep.
I mean, you'll see it a lot of places. He also uses it for the bush hogging.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see the retractable arm on it.
Yeah.
And
So
then-
doing that does the sides of the roads? Or is that a different piece of equipment?
I'm trying to think, because
'Cause
he has 2 pieces of
He-
equipment for that.
Yeah, he came by at the end of last fall and mowed down, along Main Pole.
I think he uses the excavator.
That's an articulated arm with a...
Right,
Yeah.
that's the excavator.
That's the excavator
Right.
with an attachment.
Right.
Okay.
Well, that seems like a solid plan.
And, I'll talk with you about maybe some proprietary information we remove from this, because it has VIN numbers and stuff like that on here. I
Right.
don't know if
Right,
we can probably just hide those
Right.
columns.
right. And it's gonna, what we put up's a PDF anyway, and nobody can
Right.
go into it, they can just,
Yeah, and I forgot to
Okay.
mention the trade value, the
Yeah, we have
trade-in
that too.
value of each of these units, because it would be traded in. These aren't to keep and add.
Are
Yeah.
these net costs that you've given us, or are these after trade?
This is net.
This is the net cost
Right.
for 44 and net cost of 120.
Right, so 164 total, but the trade-in value total is gonna be 62. So hopefully we only really spend around 100,000.
Oh, okay, so, all right. So these are the gross costs for the pieces that you gave us
Yes.
before trade?
yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
And again, the trade-in value is dependent upon the 5 years, turning it in a 5-year strategy.
Is that now a standard strategy for capital improvements?
I think that's probably a strategy everybody would love to do. Is it realistic? No. But it makes sense, especially for a municipality that uses equipment so often and so hard, is to have a 5 to 7 year replacement plan.
Mm-hmm.
You are reliant on the votes. So that plan, although it would be ideal, we could try for it, but it all relies on the votes. So if you have one or two of those items that don't get voted, then
They're
you're
gonna have to
pushing
come
that
up again
down to the
next
next
year.
fiscal
Right.
year.
We've seen that,
So-
we've seen that
We
pattern.
have.
Right, which is why we were in the situation we were in the first place with the last 2 years, had pretty large expense items with town meeting.
I think what also happens too is that people assume there's a greater traded value than there really is.
Yeah, and there's
I mean,
always.
this equipment gets beat on.
Right.
Yeah,
and the
well, there's
longer-
always those two, opposing viewpoints.
Mhm.
Is, use the equipment and trade it before it loses value,
Yeah.
or run it till it's dead.
Right.
It doesn't make sense to run anything until it's dead. Then you're talking about not
Lab-
just renting
Parts,
equipment,
labor,
but the labor to
rentals,
go
yeah,
get the
yeah,
rentals,
yeah, there's
pick
a
them
lot of
up, drop
costs
them
of-
off.
Yeah.
Right.
It really makes no sense. So yes, it should be in the best scenario, 5 to 7 year turnaround time for most of this equipment.
Yeah, I
And
think
you'll
that
s-
makes a lot of sense.
And you'll see all the, on the spreadsheet that you're both gonna see all that information is on it.
It'd be good to have a look ahead, I think, as well, so we can see what's coming up next year.
Yeah, we have the replacement year to replace date.
And is that based on the 5 to 7 year?
No, it's based on the super's
Just-
recommendation.
Think he can keep it going?
Yeah, because some of the items, he'll say, no, this should last us 10 years.
Mhm.
If it's not used that often, if it's a item that
Okay.
might be more, less of an engine and more of the other parts, right?
Mhm.
So some of these items definitely have a longer lifespan, like the mower. The mower should be 15 to 20 years,
Right.
where a passenger vehicle should be,
8 to 10,
7
right?
to 8,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So it's all dependent on the vehicle itself.
Excellent work organizing all that.
And I always have to put in the caveat that we're in desperate need of a grader. And a grader is around $400,000
Yep.
to replace. It was also something that Veronique was looking into. USDA can't do that, so we'll keep looking into other avenues for that approach. Again, it's something where we might want to look at other communities nearby. The problem is everybody will want to use it at the same time. Maybe there's a way around that, I don't know, but we need to find some type of solution that doesn't cost us $400,000. Maybe that's to start.
It doesn't even get
another
used
fund.
that often, does it?
Well, the problem is half of our roads are gravel.
Right.
And although it doesn't get used often, when it's needed then. And if we
And
don't
if
have
there's
an
a
option.
flood, it's needed then.
Right,
Well,
and
yeah.
if we don't have an option to rent it, then we're SOL.
Mhm.
So maybe that's something we should look into as a stabilization.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking about the 5-year look ahead, is that if we do have a year like this, which is light, and we have this larger than expected free cash,
Right,
that it might be good to start a highway department equipment stabilization fund.
right.
Well,
But we already
okay,
have a
we
stabilization.
have the capital, which.
Yeah, well, that's not for the highway department, that's.
No, yeah,
Oh,
it
it
is,
is.
it is.
Yeah.
The general stabilization fund is not for
No.
the highway department.
Well,
No,
not
general is for
specifically.
anything,
Yeah,
capital.
so in other words, there should be something specifically for the highway.
Well, I guess we could change the name of it from capital to highway.
No, I
but
think
No.
what
I mean,
he's
like we're
getting
saving
at,
for
yeah.
a fire
No, I-
truck,
That's
so we
it.
should.
Right, I'm
set
just
it
saying
Exactly
the
right.
capital, because we actually haven't, I don't think, used capital since I've been here.
How much is in the fund?
256,000
Yeah.
change.
So,
You
you
might
know,
need that for the fire truck, so.
Well, no,
Well, it
that's
might be a good
separate.
idea, so that's why.
Well,
I'm
no,
using
but-
separate one
but
for
we
the-
only
Oh,
have-
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and,
To combine it.
yeah, when
That's
we
it.
need to
Right.
buy a fire truck, we might not be able to afford it without.
right.
So I think I'm suggesting as strongly suggesting that we consider a highway equipment stabilization fund.
Okay,
Or we add more to the existing stabilization.
to the capital, yeah, that's what I was thinking, but, I mean.
For
if you wanna
budget planning
create a new
purposes,
one-
I think it makes it easier if we have a breakout, that's all. When we look at it from how we report to the state and how we report it to the town, if we have different stabilization pots of money that we hit.
Well,
I
the only
think-
thing, sorry, the only thing that I think might be confusing about that is that we do use capital for highway. So if you have a separate one that says highway, what does that mean about capital?
Well, I think what
Highway
I'm
equipment.
thinking is the visualization of it, right?
Yes.
So we have the capital stabilization fund for highway equipment, right? That's for any generalized highway equipment. I think the visual of saying, no, this is just for the grader, we
Oh,
have a
just for the grade, yeah.
$400,000.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought you
It's a
said
larger look
highway, I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Right.
A larger
so-
look ahead items, and that's one of the big
Okay,
ones.
yeah, a greater one.
Is there any way to wrap that into any of the flood grants?
Mm,
You know, we were talking about that, whether or not we could use part of that.
It was pretty much earmarked for materials, wasn't it?
Not necessarily, it's flood related, but I'd have to run that by our accountant and just make sure he was okay with that. But, you know, the money that we have left over is intended for the materials for the unpaved roads.
Yeah.
So I just don't know.
Right, but you need a grader to take.
To be able to use the material.
the materials.
Yes.
Yep. So I always have to put that in there because it's been, since I joined, it's been a topic of discussion
Oh,
and
it's a
the
huge-
price just gets worse and worse.
Big ticket, it looks like for the ambulance, just as with the fire truck.
Yeah. Yeah. It is, I feel it's different because of the cost of it. I mean, the most expensive thing outside of that grader, when we're looking at cost, is what,
Well, trucks are $250,000.
100,000, right?
Yeah.
Oh, a Freightliner here,
Yeah.
255,
Yeah.
which is high, but
Close.
still.
$250,000,
And it'd probably be tough to get a quality used grader.
Right. Any questions for the capital improvement committee on those two items that we're gonna recommend?
No, just, looking forward with this proposed idea of a greater stabilization fund, is that something we want to look at later on this month when we do our,
But yeah, I just made a note too. What I'll do is now that you all have, you know, told me how you want it to work that, then I can do my free cash chart and throw out the recommendations or suggestions
Yeah.
or whatever for everybody to look at.
I
Great.
mean, the only other thing of concern would be with the Conway Grammar School Stabilization Fund. We haven't really put any significant amount of money in that in at least the last 3 fiscal years. And I put a call today into William Hildreth, who's the facilities manager for the Union 38 School District, asking about a more recent quote to replace the Conway Grammar School boilers because, you know, the quote that we have, if my understanding is correct, is more than 10 years old.
Well, and it's all complicated because we want to ideally have a smart system to run the boilers and the heat and all the mini splits and everything, and that's a significant cost itself. Now, Deerfield was able to get some green money to pay for theirs, but I don't know if that green money's gonna still be out there.
It could be, but I did speak with Darius about this and said, you know, he said we could bump it back until next year and then try to, because that would probably be going through the sustainability committee, and they're so busy with streetlights, they just didn't have, you know, any bandwidth to
Right,
take this
okay.
on, so we could put it on for next year. But I think each of those was at least 250,000, so we're looking at
Yeah.
$500,000 just for that
And
alone.
right now we have about 230,000. So there's some allocating to do. It's good to have extra free, quote unquote, extra free cash.
Yes.
Well,
Absolutely.
the other big thing, just so you're aware with free cash, is a request from our accountant for $52,000 to go into our police detail.
That's a revolving fund.
That's the revolving fund, but that would be another hit on free cash.
Yeah, at times. We'll manage.
All right,
Let's do.
great.
Just want to thank the Capital Improvements Committee for this really good work. I mean, for
Yeah.
years we languished, and the last few years it's really gained excellent
Really.
traction. It's very much appreciated.
Definitely organized.
And I
It's
think
great.
most people in town too, because it will probably reduce the amount of time for a town meeting by at least half.
Oh, I think so
Right,
too.
I think this would be very well received to make
And
that
it's
publicly
not
available.
personalized anymore. It's been a.
Right,
That's it.
It's
right.
done its
About the numbers.
research.
Well, and when the schedule goes up on the town website, it's like, there it
Amen.
is.
Totally.
That's it.
There's all the data, you can crunch it.
So we can make it home well before dinner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
Or make it to the
Love it.
Conway Inn.
We're just gonna put
Yeah.
another article about pickleball on the town
There's a
warrant,
historical
and then
precedent.
everyone will just be so
Yeah.
focused on pickleball.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's the strategy.
Get all the
All
pickleballers
the
in
That's
there.
it.
stuff will just fly by.
Yeah.
get our
All right,
priorities here.
thank
All
you,
right, are we,
everybody.
are we
All right.
finished?
I make a
Yep.
motion to adjourn the finance committee.
Second.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Roy.
Thanks.
Roy's in the
Adjourn.
silent mode.
Second.
Sign language, here.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a sidebar question?
Thank you for taking
Yes.
those.
Are you still working on that?
Yes, I
schedule?
still need to talk to Ron, and I'm still missing some
Okay, I'll
details.
send you reminders, because
Yeah.
Bernie gave me a deadline to write that article,
Oh.
but it's not till the 15th of March?
The 15th, it's the 15th of the month every month for whatever our next month.
I should
is.
have this done by the end of the week.
And I'll remind you,
Yep.
it's fine.
All right, what do we have left?
Okay, good, moving on. Items not anticipated, 48, none. TAs, updates.
Oh. Sorry. So one great thing that happened was, Community Preservation Committee met. They elected George Forcier as their chair, so we have a committee again, which is huge. They're still missing a couple of reps, but we're hoping to get taken care of, and I think George may be putting something into the
George,
currents.
like the committee head for like 3 committees?
Yeah, he stepped
I
it
know,
up.
he's really, yes, yeah. So,
Big bucks.
we did get our letter today from, which I hope I sent to you all, from the governor's office, that as long as the bill that she's put forward is enacted, Conway will get $471,823.06 for Chapter 90. So that's bumped up quite a bit.
83%.
It's
83%.
You're right, it was like the
Yeah.
82% they said,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's
Because she came
huge.
to town?
I'm sorry?
Just because she came to town?
That's it.
And we were just awarded the $175,000. Ashfield and Conway are working together again to update 2018. Before I was around, so many people have been involved in MVP, Friends of the South River, Janet Shays, Michelle Cherry, all, FERCog, Nick Miller, she's EA, in getting a plan together for Conway about which things should be looked at. And there's a huge spreadsheet in the 2018 report. MVP requires that you update it. And so since we were one of the early ones, we're one of the first ones to be required to update the plan. Excuse me. So Ashfield and Conway decided to work together again. And so the process, as I understand it, is going to be, they're going to give us a list of people that are going to help us with getting community organization going. And then we have, I don't remember which way it goes. It's like $100,000 for the administration and $75,000 for the pilot project itself, or the other way around. But anyway, we'll be working on that too, so that's exciting. That's pretty much, I gave you guys all the updates on the different grants. And then just, I didn't know if you wanted to talk a little bit about our meeting about senior and affordable housing.
Yeah, so the one thing I do want to mention is that, the biggest obstacle we're going to have is where to do it, where to build either a unit or multiple units. We really have no good options. Veronique had the good idea of adding a column to the currents, asking if anybody's either willing to donate or sell land for that purpose. Yeah, that was about it. The only
idea.
place we could think of that is actually set up right now to be able to handle it would be the old Roaring Brook Jesus Camp, right? But that is so far removed.
It's so far removed.
It's a gravel road.
Yeah,
So
a rough
it's
gravel road in
rough
winter.
gravel. So although that place is set up for it right now, or it could easily be set up for it, it's just too far removed. We want more in the Conway Center. So that's all I had to say. How about you?
Yeah, just that, transportation is obviously an issue too. If we can create a relationship with a developer, and actually, I think I remember Megan and Mariah saying, well, it's this whole process could take like a decade just to get, So they said by that time, all the money that's coming in from fair share and everything is going to be bumping up our regional transit. So we should probably be able to count on something. And if we had a hub like a housing development like this, you know, it'd probably make it easier to get that transportation. So, you know, because who knows, that we looked around the center of Conway, there's nothing
It's nothing.
around the center.
Is there
that's-
like a minimum acreage that we would need, that you're looking?
I can guess it because if we're looking at 25 unit, was it?
Which is what has to.
25 units
That's what we
was-
need to make it attractive to a developer.
Right.
Right, and there was this sweet spot too, because the one thing that I hadn't thought of, but they said is you can't, whenever you develop this, you're not gonna have 25 people who are ready to move at once.
Right.
Mhm.
You know, which I'd be like, well, duh, yeah, you're not.
But the infrastructure, like the well and the septic need to be set for that,
Yeah.
Right. and
based on how many bedrooms there are.
Based on how many bedrooms, so, and the
Right.
thing is, you know, so we'd need a parcel, we'd need a left land for not just the units, but for all the well
Yeah,
and septic as well.
and if it's that big, it probably is gonna need at least at a minimum 3 acres, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
to handle
Yeah.
that size of septic, however many wells you would need
Oh,
for
Lord,
that.
at least that many, and they have to, but
Yeah.
they have to be a certain amount of feet away from
Feet
each other,
away,
so I bet
yeah.
it's a lot larger than that, to be
Right.
honest with
Yeah.
you. You know, and then the other thing they talked about though was, you know, planning for the future. If you are, and this is, you know, just a thought, but if you are planning to build some kind of development like that, you could buy extra acreage and then later on build some amenities around it as well. You know, walking trails or something that was just kind of, and made it more of a, and they also said you really don't focus on just age restrictions.
Right.
That, I think the one they said that was going in Irving was 26 units and 18 of them were age restricted and 8 were
Low income.
low income or,
Mhm.
you know, so. Anyway, it was, they gave us a lot to think about, believe me. But the number one task is to find
Find
a
the
piece of
land.
land.
Yeah, so you should put that in the currents of, hey, it needs to be 5 acres or more, whatever it
Yeah.
might be. We should have probably asked that question. Is this for us to sign?
I was gonna say, it's too
Oh,
bad, you know,
sorry.
that fallen down house right here,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I don't know who's got the house next to it.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I don't know who
That's the
that's-
one for the
That would be
streetlights for
so
the green
great.
community, so you can put in that grant.
Right.
Oh, okay. All of us need to sign?
And maybe you don't need
yeah.
to go that big, you could start with like 5 units.
You could,
I was saying, you know, the fallen down house across the street right here.
Oh, they're never gonna sell that.
yeah. But you're not gonna get a developer interested in something that small, I don't think. That was part of the problem.
Well, that was a marathon.
It hasn't been adjourned yet.
Oh, yeah. Any select board member comments or concerns?
Nope.
No mail, no announcements. Next meeting's March 10th. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.